So I'm creating a new piece of artwork, and I wanted to kind of explain a little bit about what it means, because it has a lot of depth of meaning and where the idea came from and that sort of thing. So um, I was recently at a First Steps to Success event, and Danny Johnson was, um, I guess, imploring all of us to look at our lives and look at the things that we're doing and really put a focus on, am I doing this with a heart of, am I doing this, is what I'm doing good, noble, pure, and praiseworthy? And one of the things that I realized is I actually knew what good meant in ancient Hebrew. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But basically, the word good means function. So when you're reading the first part of Genesis and it's talking about in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth, and he looked at all he had made, and it was good. That word good should be functional. So he saw that the day and the night were functional. He saw that the heavens and the earth had a function. So I started looking at that and decided I needed to probably evaluate the other words and see what they really meant too, because good and function don't necessarily have the same meaning in our language in English. And so if I really want to understand the way that the ancient Hebrew mind was working when they were making these sorts of recommendations, the good, pure, noble, and praiseworthy actually comes from, there's some of the words that are in Philippians 4:8. They would have originally been speaking in Hebrew at that time, most likely, and so I'm making a best guess with the one that I'm starting with, which is pure, because there's actually about 4 different words in the ancient Hebrew that would have been used for pure. This one just happened to be one that really stood out to me. So I'm just going to start by showing you what I have. The word pure up here, it's a little bit hard to see, but the word pure can be translated back into Hebrew as the bet and the resh, which would say bar. And if you take that back to the ancient Hebrew, this would have been the symbol for bet, and this would have been the resh. And bet was actually the house, the tent. As you can see, it kind of looks like a tent. This is where you would enter. This would be sleeping quarters. And if you actually turn it this way, it kind of looks like a G, but if you kept rotating it, I guess you kind of can see a B in there too. So kind of eliminate this, and you get a little bit of that B shape or add it in, and you get a B. So even our English language actually has roots back to the original Hebrew. So, and then this is the resh, and it's obviously a head, a picture of a head. So this is frequently translated and also has the meaning of grain. So a house of heads is what it is, and the top of a grain is a house for the heads of wheat or whatever grain that you're talking about. But these words also have some other meaning. I'm going to set this down because I'm going to look at some books for a second too. So let's see. I'm going to read to you just an excerpt from, this is called The Ancient Hebrew Language and Alphabet. It's by Jeff Benner. He's got a great website. It's called ancient-hebrew.org. And you can purchase this on there. I think he actually has an online copy of it now too. What you can see in here is it has a picture of those 2 letters, what they are, the meaning, and then there's actually a numbering system that he has in here too. So I know it's really hard to see, but there's a numbering system in here, and it relates back in another part of it to a concordance that has a listing of all of the Strong's numbers, not all of them, but a lot of them, the Strong's numbers from your Bible, and then the corresponding root word of that. So this is the root word bar, which is a house of heads, which has a meaning of grain. The plant family of grains, such as wheat and barley, have a cluster of seeds at the top of the stalk called heads. These grains are used for food for both man and livestock. Livestock are fatted on the grain to prepare them to make slaughter. The stalks of the grains were burned to make potash for making soap. So, and what is cleaned with soap becomes white or bright, which is also kind of why I picked the yellow for the background of this, the yellow and the brightness. I'm going to read a couple other parts to it. The one of the meanings of the letter bet is is family. The function of a tent is to provide a covering for the family, and it can also mean in or inside, as the family resides inside of the tent. And then the letter resh actually can mean raised. So it's a picture of a man with his head raised up, and it has the meaning of top. It's the top of our body, the head or the beginning of something. It can also have the meaning of first, as in the top or the rank of time. So I wanted to put those together for you so you kind of get a picture of how everything comes from a very functional standpoint in the Hebrew language, as opposed to abstract thoughts that we're very familiar with in our English language. So that is this word. There's also a couple of other words that are related to this, and this was fascinating to me. I loved this part. So the word bara is to create. It's also found in Genesis, but it means to create, and it derives from this same word. So same word with a strong ox is the next part of that word. And then the other word that really, really stuck out to me too is that it's also related to the word covenant, which would be bara with an head on the end of it. So it's a picture of a man with his arms raised up as the hay, and that hay has a meaning of to behold, and breath, and so you see it, and that word actually means covenant. So the fact that a covenant is related to creation and to the sense of purity and being clean was really, really, it just gave a huge depth of meaning. And then the other thing I got out of all of this is the resh is related to family. So, I'm sorry, the bet is related to family and resh is related to raise. So bet is so you're raising up the family, and those are the way that the Hebrews thought about the word pure, and what we understand as pure and being clean is such a simple surface level of what really it is to be pure and to clean. It's raising up the family. It's creating something new, and it's coming into covenant. It's an agreement with something else. And so I think it's just kind of an amazing thing to really, really look deeply at something like this, and then to take such a simple word and really look at what I'm thinking about and doing with my life and what I am speaking and over my life, and use this as a measure of whether or not it is something to continue with, and whether or not I should continue doing or thinking or speaking about something. Is it pure? Is it raising up my family? Is it raising up my family, really? Is it creating? Is it something that I'm building a covenant with? Is there covenant there? So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. I'm going to do some more painting on this and kind of finish it up and add some of those other words to really describe it out here, and put all of that meaning down on paper so that I have that personal reminder of what it is to be pure. Thanks for listening.
On his skin, but I want so much more than this. Lately, oh, there are voices in my head and try to tell me otherwise. I'm not surprised, keep